to the MAP, the Mental Health and Addiction Podcast. We are back with an all-new episode. Hey, today we are discussing issues and how everyone has them.
I don't.
You don't. And that there shouldn't be any shame when it comes to them. So before we get started, we have to meet the team. And as always, joining me is Kristen Perry Long.
Who
are you, Chris?
Hello. Who am I? I am a mom of 5 amazing kids. 2 are in recovery. I am the founder of The Stakes Are High, which is my background. It's an event coming up.
Nope. Hold that. We're going to talk about that later.
In depth.
Cool. Okay.
But keep going.
That's all I am. According to the boss, that's who I am. I'm just a mom of 5 kids and 2 that are in recovery, and I've been working in the field for a long time.
But you're a very passionate individual about addiction and mental health, and you've been doing great work for a long time, and you are a dedicated resource. How about that?
I'll take it. Thank you.
Yes. All right. And as also joining me is our friend who needs no introduction, the one, the only, Willie Drinkwater. Who are you, sir?
Who am I? I'm a person in long-term recovery from addiction and a little bit shorter long-term recovery of mental health and stuff. So
you're the bipolar bear.
The bipolar therapist. Yes.
The bipolar therapist. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. The last time I slept was 1985. It's good. Okay. But anyway, I'm an educator. I teach for UMass Boston in the Addiction Counseling Education Program. And I also have a private practice, and I go out to lecture nationally on substance abuse and co-occurring disorders.
And you, at one point, were in the world of comedy.
The Big Mattress. Actually, after this show, I'm going on a show with a bunch of comics, so it's going to be interesting. I'll be pulling them some into our show at a future date too.
Is Joey Carroll involved?
Joey Carroll will probably be there today, and Jackie Lynch, and probably George Mack and a bunch. Yeah, so it should be a lot of fun.
Please tell Joey. Tell Joey I said hello. He's a wonderful fellow. He's been on our show before. And as for me, my name is Andy Bernstein, and I am your moderator in chief. And I have been in broadcast media for a very long time and helping communities with social issues through media for over 25 years. And I created a show close to 3 years ago with former hockey player Kevin Stevens, and Willie was with me on that show. And I haven't been able to stop. In 3 years, somehow he keeps pulling me back in. But
don't stop thinking about tomorrow. Okay, maybe that could be one of our songs.
Okay, Lindsey Buckingham, I appreciate that. That's right. But before we start talking about some serious stuff around mental health and addiction, tell me quickly. We've been on hiatus for a while. What have you guys been up to?
Chris, you want to lead off?
Well, I've been back into the job hunting market.
Yeah.
That's okay. And I've just been kind of enjoying my kids and a little bit of summer and all the rain. I started building an ark. Hanging out with my chickens. I haven't been doing a lot, actually. It's been kind of nice. Just slowing down a little bit.
Taking care of you.
Yep, taking care of me.
That's cool. And Mr. Willie, what have you been up to?
I mean, it's been really, really hectic. I mean, the pandemic was bad enough when people were shut down, but now that people are coming out of the shutdown, I'm getting more and more clients that that need an inpatient stay psych for anxiety disorders and generalized anxiety disorder, and a lot of people are having existential crisis. They're coming out of this and they're going, do I really want to be in that job that I've been in for 20 years? Why am I still doing, basically it's like a Rollo May and Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, and people are really questioning what they were doing up to the point of the pandemic. And now that the pandemic is over, do they really want to continue? And I've been seeing quite a few folks too that Yeah, quite a few. I mean, I've had several over the last couple of weeks that end up back in detox again at various levels of sobriety too. So, I think the post-pandemic and
But it's
just
not post-pandemic, right? Now we're
right,
back,
right, yeah,
we're back again with the Delta variant,
yeah,
right?
yeah. It's post-initial pandemic, but now, yeah, you're right. The Delta variants. I mean, I'm glad I live in Massachusetts. There's so many states where people are, they're buying the misinformation, and
Well,
it affects everybody.
Massachusetts had a man. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I got it.
Provincetown. You're talking about the Provincetown
Yeah,
breakout, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But don't forget too, Provincetown is a big tourist center, especially in the summer. So we were probably seeing a lot of people coming in from out of state too.
yeah. I
So
mean, it's
I didn't get my very first COVID test last week, I think. I was at the beach with a friend whose son had COVID 14 days prior. So I went to the beach with my friend, and that was on a Saturday. And she called me on Tuesday and said she tested positive, and she was vaccinated. So I had to get vaccinated. I mean, I had to get tested. And that's the very first time that I ever had to get tested during this whole, and I was in like Florida, where it's really bad in Florida.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's interesting, Andy, too. I think I mentioned to you and maybe to Chris, that Canada's opening up the border on August 9th, and my wife's side of the family, the Nova Scotia connection. We can go up there. You have to have, they want the physical card. They don't want a photocopy. They want a physical card. So both Yvette and I have it stuffed in our passports now. But in order to get into Canada as an American, you have to have a COVID test within 72 hours of when you plan to cross the border, and at the border they're doing an instant test and stuff.
Wait,
so
I heard those are doing false positives
on the instant test. Yeah,
they're doing the false, because that's what I was going to do, the instant, the rapid, and they said don't rapid response, especially if you've been vaccinated. So
okay, interesting.
I'd be scared to go like out of the country with this whole threat of shutting down, because I mean, look what Baker's like, no mask, and now they're like putting the mask thing back in, they're implementing the mask thing again.
They don't know, it's like, it's the science, and it's changing.
Well, I mean, I just heard yesterday that Moderna now is saying maybe they'll do a third shot in September. So, I was Pfizer, so I don't even know what Pfizer is up to.
I'm Pfizer point. Too. It's funny. My wife is going back to work, but only one day a week. And,
in the office, you mean? In the office.
Yeah. And I don't know if, could we be facing another shutdown? I don't know. I'll tell you. I
don't think it'll be a hard shutdown the way. I think it's going to depend geographically where you are too.
So it's funny. I got an itchy nose. I've been during the past several weeks. I was in L.A., I was in Seattle, and I was in Pittsburgh. And all in Los Angeles, I went to a Dodger game with 53,000 people. Seattle, I went to a Seattle Sounders game, an MLS game. They had 36,000 people. And in Pittsburgh, I went to a 80th birthday party, which is 100 and some people, with a lot of kissing and hugging, because it was, seeing family and stuff. I wasn't scared, right, at all. Now, if you told me you could get free tickets to go to a Bruins game, I probably wouldn't go, because I really don't want to be indoors yet at this point. But being outside in front of 53,000 people with no masks was crazy to me. Now, I realize, my understanding is LA County instituted a mask rule again. Seattle was wearing masks everywhere. So to your point, different parts of the country, every news story in Seattle was about the COVID.
Yeah.
So, but you're right. In Massachusetts, we have the, we follow the rules here in Massachusetts. So it seems like we're ahead of the game. So
yeah. I mean, just to add a footnote on the Canada thing too. I have a friend friend Gary, who's in the addiction field. I've known him since 1985, and we keep in touch. He's working in the field, and he got his second shot just 3 weeks ago. Because of the supply they had, they were doing first shots with everybody, but then that they had to wait an extended period of time in order to get supplies to do a second shot. So here he is working in the field, and he got his second shot 3 weeks ago. So
that's crazy. So hopefully this thing, this variant doesn't prohibit. But again, a lot of it has to be on our accountability. Like we have to be able to socially distance and wear a mask or do whatever we feel is comfortable to keep ourselves from getting COVID. Yeah. All right. So, we've been gone for a while, and there's been some stuff in the news, some mental health issues. And, one of the things, we talk about today that everyone has issues, and look no further than Simone Biles of the U.S. Olympic team.
Yeah, before you go on with that further, Andy, and stuff, I don't know. It was actually, I think it was a Netflix special, and it was probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago before the games even began, and it was about Olympic athletes. And I don't know if you recall with the U.S. in the last Winter Games or the games before, it was the first time we took gold in the bobsled, in the men's bobsled. Okay. And the guy who was the captain of that team, he ended up suiciding, and they were going through all these Olympic athletes that over the years have ended up suiciding. And, Phelps has been a big advocate on mental health.
That's right.
He really is the first one. And, a year or two ago that really started talking about, mental health, in the Olympic Games and the athletes. And,
it's huge. And
imagine. Okay, so I've been watching these divers. I don't know if you've been watching the divers.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a 14-year-old. I think she's.
Yeah, she got all those 10. She got all the 10s, Chinese. Yeah.
Right. Can you there's no expression in that poor child's face.
No affect at all. Nothing. It's like a machine diving.
And we know that country is very like that. They're very. They breed
stoic.
People. And it's really and it saddens me. It's not like she got all 10s and all she did was hit herself with the little towel, and there was no wow, that's great. I really, nothing.
Yeah, look, watch the Tiger Woods story. That's a great example. Tiger Woods, everybody thinks he had, winning all those tournaments, making all that money, and he is a really sad individual with a ton of pressure.
Too, his facial, he never smiles, and when they started saying, "Oh, his dad is his biggest fan,"
no, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't. His dad was his bigger. He was whipping him with the whip.
It's like Michael Jackson's father.
Same thing. Right. Tiger Woods' father wouldn't let him have a girlfriend. He was in control of everything, and Tiger had all kinds of. Tiger's had addiction to painkillers. He has addiction to sex. He's had an addiction to gambling.
He's filling that void. He's trying to fill that void.
Yeah.
Who is the singer right now trying to sue her dad or mom? They have
Britney Spears. Britney Spears.
Britney Spears. There's so much more to that story than we're being told. But so back to
So and also I wanted to add the Baltimore Colts, the Indianapolis Colts actually started a mental health an initiative with their team. I think it was okay not to be okay, and they had players doing it, and I think that's huge. And and so Simone Biles, as we know, she pulled out of a couple of events because of what she called the twisties, but she did come back on Tuesday to win a
bronze,
a bronze in the balance beam. But there's a bit.
She also came out and said that her aunt died unexpectedly.
Well, she's a victim of, one of the things, we talk about Willie and Chris, we talk about trauma, grief, abandonment. And one of the things that I never knew about her is she was actually a survivor of sexual abuse by the gymnastic doctor Larry Nassar.
Yeah.
And, so she did have trauma, and she said that she had to do what's right for me and my focus on mental health.
Hmm.
And her reason for withdrawing from the Olympics is, she said, we also have to focus on ourselves because at the end of the day, we're human too. So we have to protect our mind and body rather than just go out there and do what the world wants us to do. And you're right, Chris. She talks about her aunt unexpectedly passed. And she said that some of her triggers, she's fought through it, but, we have triggers. And unfortunately, I had one of my biggest ones here. But to come out and come back with a bronze, it means the world to end the Olympics like this. And then, she also said that after on trauma, she said that she was more emotional than in 2016 because of everything she had been through. And she said it was not only her own trauma she was shouldering, but the hundreds of survivors who don't have her platform of power. And she said, and then so for mental health, she said that, she explained that her priorities, she prioritizes her mental health whenever she feels like she needs to. And one of the things that I think is very interesting about her is that there were a lot of her coming out and sparking this conversation along with Harry and Meghan Markle has really increased social media interactions.
Yeah, I mean, part of the tip of the iceberg right before that was the women's tennis player Osaka,
right?
Who, the French Open was ripping her a new one because she didn't want to sit with and be interviewed, and she was going through mental health issues, and they fined her $15,000, and then she pulled out of the competition, and stuff.
What happened with that? There's only been tidbits there. There's been no real. I don't know. I mean, I think going back to the core, right? To be an Olympic athlete, that's everybody's dream. When you play sports, that's the highest accolade that you could ever receive is to be on.
Yeah, Chris. And the thing is too, it doesn't matter if you get a medal or not. And to make an Olympic team, right. The odds against anybody making it to an Olympic team. I remember there was one Olympic year, Nike ran an ad, and it only ran once, and that's because people got on the lines and absolutely bombarded them. And the Nike ad says, "You don't win the silver, you lose the gold." And it was just, people called in and they were like, "Are you out of your mind? The silver medal is an accomplishment. Just making the team's an accomplishment. Why would you say, you don't win the silver, you lose the gold?" And Nike got slammed for that one.
I think that so just the poor Chinese girl or Japanese girl.
Chinese diver. Yeah.
Chinese. I mean, I look at her and I look at Simone and how strong Simone was to say, hey, my health is more important, and to be doing these types of events, I could permanently hurt myself. I could have an injury that could be crippling.
Yeah, right? You lose your place and you end up crashing on the beam. I mean, forget it. You get so busted up. Yeah.
I commend her, but then I look at that poor diver, and it's it's never going to be enough. So she wins the gold, right?
Yeah.
And it's still not they're going to expect the gold the next year. And what is this young lady's dream, or is this her country's dream?
Yeah, I was really happy. There was there were two women in swimming events, and one of them was an established swimmer, and she helped the other woman really get her Olympic career. But long story short, I was so glad the media actually focused on them, even though they quote took silver and bronze,
Yep.
but just the joy that they had. They had trained together and been together, and it was just like, yeah, they didn't get the gold, but they took silver and bronze, and they were overjoyed, and it was just great to see that.
I know a double amputee swimmer. Okay, she's young. She's like 21. She was training for the U.S. Olympics for Tokyo as a regular swimmer, or as a in the
Paralympic.
Yeah, but no, not in the Paralympic. Well, yeah, in the Paralympics, she had one leg that she lost, and then she got the other leg. She got removed because she didn't want to take painkillers anymore because she was in pain. So she got both legs removed,
Right.
and she has been working her tail off just to get back to the Paralympics, and she's so happy just to be there to competing. To your point, and this is a girl who has been through so much,
Right.
and so to take away from that because you didn't win the gold or whatever, it's amateur status anyway. So what's the difference? So
I think we're starting to change. I think the attitude nationally is just, I mean, it's different areas of the country. It depends on the education level too.
The other part of doing this research is they talk about male athletes and that, there's gender stereotypes and that men have grown up, in certain circumstances to mask how they're feeling. And this was from a psychotherapist. And we've talked about that as well, Willie, that men don't necessarily like.
Oh yeah, men don't get depressed. They're just wicked tired. And men too, a lot of times with depression, it's agitated depression. It's what AA calls the dry drunk. Nothing's right, everything sucks, it's never going to change, the whole bit. Where women don't they do, some of them, but you usually don't see these, the agitated depression the way you do in males. So it can be totally missed. It's just like, oh yeah, that guy's a hole, and stuff. But it can be agitated depression. Men don't talk feelings.
Go ahead, Chris.
Right. Men don't talk feelings, and like it's not necessarily ego, but it's ego. Like I can't have a problem. I have to be. Right. I have to, the foundation in my family. Like my husband would never talk to a therapist. Like
yeah, I couldn't see that. No way. He's a guy's guy. Yeah. He's a guy's.
I don't need to go to a therapist in a millisecond for him to speak to somebody.
No, you pick yourself up by the bootstraps. You should be able to solve your own problems. You're weak.
Great
if you
transition,
ask for help.
Willie, because how about that? Going back to Simone.
Yeah.
She's gotten a ton of criticism. She's been lambasted by a lot of people.
Who's that English?
Here's Morgan, and here's what he said. Yeah. He said both. She criticized Osaka for quitting the French Open in May.
He did. Yeah.
He did for quitting the French Open in May to preserve her mental health as narcissistic. Mm-hmm. Slammed Biles on Wednesday, writing that she had let down her teammates, fans, and country.
That's such BS because you look at all the support. Look at that. They were showing one of her. I can't remember the girl's name. I apologize. One of the teammates when some.
What
was it?
Which one? What the one that?
The one that didn't make qualifications, but when she came in.
Suni?
They showed Suni watching her do her beam routine, and she was crying for her because she did so well. Like she did it. She made it through it. Even if she didn't get a medal, they were just so happy that she was able to complete. So that's such BS. That's such a judgment comment.
Hold on. Wait, there's more.
No, I mean, he uses the word narcissist. He may as well be standing in front of a mirror.
Right.
Of course. Wait, but there's more. There's more. Newsweek has reported the comments of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, who called her a sociopath and said her actions were a shame to our country. If she's got all those mental health problems, she shouldn't have showed up. We are a nation or we are raising a nation of weak people. The next one was radio talk show hosts Clay Travis and Buck Sexton. That sounds like hee-haw. Attacked the people who supported Roy Clark and Buck Owens, who supported Biles' right to withdraw, saying, "Why is this brave? What's brave about not being brave?"
What is that statement? What is that statement? What is?
It's just double speak. That's all it is.
And then there was another one. Amber Athey called Biles a quitter and said she lacked mental toughness in pursuing Olympic goals. So why do you think, so here's my question to you both. Why do you think she faced such criticism for withdrawing? If you break it down, I'll give you my thoughts, but why do you guys think?
I think because they don't understand, because people are just not, it's like, it goes like with the stigma of addiction, right? People just don't understand. They choose not to understand. And then she later comes out and says, like, ultimately, I was going through it. Like, I didn't want anybody to feel bad for me because my aunt died suddenly and unexpectedly. This was the cleanest and safest way for me to just step back, go through what I needed to go through, get strong, and then decide if I wanted to do one more event or not. Like, shame on people, judgy people. We all do it.
Is that the time I hear a little ding, 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 ding? I don't know. Go ahead.
Oh, that's my fan in my background. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
No, it's meditative.
Chimes. They're chimes.
I just, I'm disappointed in the people that publicly shamed her instead of allowing and opening up the opportunity for people that maybe were ashamed of their mental health to say, hey, here's somebody with this platform that says, hey, you know what? I'm picking me first, and that's okay.
Yeah, I think I know where Andy's going with this too, but it's kind of interesting. You're talking, the criticism is coming from conservative white people, right? And it's like, is this just an undercurrent going, man? It's like the old "Let's Make America White Again" campaign, and I don't know if there's an undercurrent going on with these commentators.
Because I didn't even think like that. I don't see black. I don't see black and white.
No, you and I don't. You and I don't see black and white. But conservatism, I don't know.
It's so It's so hypocritical because yet, if she were voting, you may not want her vote doesn't count per se, but to that side. But yet, she's being criticized for not.
Representing that side,
right? Compete for a gold, and in my opinion, and I think a lot of people do this. I think she returned because of the scrutiny that she faced, and I think she maybe came back because she sucked it up and said, "I got to come back because I don't want to be,
I don't know if I agree with you. I think she came back for herself. I think she had the support of the team. They had a private facility where she was training up to that event, being supported by her teammates. And she felt that was the Beam was a place where she felt safe, where she was at a point coming out of the twisties. I mean, she didn't do any of her like her 4 signature moves on the dismount. She kept it simple and clean. So I think that was probably the most important medal that she's ever won.
Well, she had 2 of the 3. Actually, you could argue she had the 3 things you talk about: trauma, the grief from losing her aunt, and maybe the abandonment of the aunt because maybe she was close. But at least 2 of the 3 that we talked about.
And also being so far away and not having a family.
4,000 miles. Yeah.
Right. Relying on teammates that you're very, very close with. But there's nothing like a hug from your mom or your dad or other family members, to help you be okay with it. It's not like this poor aunt was sick and suffering. This her aunt dropped dead.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Like nobody's prepared for that. If she knew she was sick and her aunt was sick and there was a chance, then mentally you're like, okay, well, I knew she was sick and I did say my goodbyes and blah, blah, blah. There was nothing. It was gone. That was it. So,
you know,
I don't think she went back to prove anything to anybody other than herself.
So athletes, well, because athletes have a tendency to be very resilient, and so that's why I felt like maybe she's like, okay, enough of feeling bad. I'm ready to go now because I got to push myself to power through it. My question is that, well, not my question, but it seems like more athletes are coming out to talk about it. I mean, we had my friend Greg, who committed suicide, the punter, and he talked about it all the time, his mental health, and he, and it's almost like in his world, it was kind of like, I don't know if people, I hope they heard him, but I don't know if they heard him.
Well, it's even in football. I mean, you're talking football and stuff. I mean, for years, teams and coaches have allowed people to run around with steroid rage. And nobody talks about it. Nobody, how you suddenly punch your wife in an elevator, and stuff. And then again,
Or you commit double murder. You commit a double homicide.
What was that guy well, not OJ, but the other guy that killed
Aaron Hernandez?
No. The other guy that killed his wife, I think it was in like Italy or something. He was some famous.
Oscar Pistorius.
Yeah.
There was also a wrestler WWF days that actually, he was so jacked out.
Chris Benoit.
Yeah.
I mean, we could go on and on and on and talk about
this. But it's, that pressure that athletes face.
Mm-hmm.
That drives people to commit suicide because their brains are so out of whack due to all the concussions.
Because there's always more, right? And it's also more. Like, I won this. Okay, more. I battle with it. Perfect. I'm not, but I battle with being perfect. I try to be as perfect as I can. And
it's okay to strive for perfection so long as you don't go over the top because you can't achieve it.
No, but it's like if I fail, I beat myself up to the point like it's bad. I'm really struggling with beating myself up. But anyway, let's change gears. And
I got an opening Monday, Andy. Call me.
I have you on speed dial. You're like Commissioner Gordon. I just pick up the phone. It goes right to you, the red phone.
Yeah.
Let's change gears.
It's all about insurance,
Chris, I want to talk to you specifically.
Charge in cash.
You have purple flags in front of you, and
yes.
I want to hear about your upcoming event that you have, which explains the flags. But I want you to give the who, what, where, why, and when of this event. Not just the dates, but how it started and what you're doing. Go.
So I've been in this field of addiction and helping people for a very long time. If you don't know, I have 2 kids that are in recovery. And when they started using and running and all of that lifestyle, I had no idea what to do. So I started by trying to fix them. We know we can't fix our own kids. And I started surrounding myself with people that could teach me how to help my kids and then help other people. But what happened was we were losing kids. Families that I was working with were losing their children. And International Overdose Awareness Day is August 31st. And it's a one-day thing, right? It raises awareness for lives that have been lost by accidental overdose. I have friends that, and there's lots of events that go around on all over the country. In Massachusetts, they put flags out the day of the International Overdose Awareness. They have a vigil. They have, that kind of great event. It's wonderful. Well, I wanted to take it one step further. And Stakes Are High has flags out from the year 2015 to the current year. So we will have flags out from 2015 to 2020. And each color each year represents a life that has been lost to an accidental overdose in the state of Massachusetts. So last year we had just over 10,000 flags that we displayed on the common. This year we will have just shy of 13,000
In
flags
Foxboro.
in Foxboro, on our common. So we display the flags for a week. And at the end of the week, we have a closing event in the morning. This year, we're going to have some resource tables, some sober homes, some, drop-in centers, some grief groups. Whoever has a resource, they're more than welcome to join us on the 29th at 10 a.m. On the 21st is when we put all the flags out. And if you're not doing anything, we start around 9 o'clock in the morning and we go until all the flags are out.
So go ahead.
So if you have an hour on the 21st, come on down, bring some gloves, and my husband will be marking out the areas, and you can place flags.
So let's talk about the flags for a second. And I thought that there was a way, like, each flag represents a person. Is there any acknowledgement of the flag, like who that person is, or is it just simply a flag?
It's simply a flag. There's really no way for me to be able to get 13,000 names on each flag. Families that have lost somebody are more than welcome. They have a lot of families have those large double-sided posters with their pictures and their names on. I don't know if you've seen them, but they have a lot of families have them. They're more than welcome. If they've lost their life from 2015 to 2020, they're more than welcome to put them in that area. We're also going to have a general area for like undesignated, the undesignated years before 2015.
What are some of the outcomes that you hope to accomplish with the event? Because this is what, your third year doing this?
Yeah, this is my third year doing it. People ask me why I do it because I haven't lost anybody. And I do it because, their lives mattered. Like they were somebody's son, daughter, mother, father, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, grandparent. They were somebody. And this, if you have the opportunity, drive around the common, because when you see all those flags moving in the wind, I get goosebumps. Like sometimes I go up and I just sit in the common and I look at all these flags and I feel like their souls come down to this area and they make those flags wave. And it's basically just to acknowledge that their lives mattered.
Okay. And as far as activities go, will there be any kind of like special speakers or?
Yep. So we have Carrie Ann Kakavoka speaking.
Say that name again.
Carrie Ann. I can never say her. I always screw it up. It's Kakavoka.
Oh, she was a student of mine, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. UMass student.
Yeah, she's awesome. And her story
tattoos, so lots of tattoos.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's Carrie Ann.
Yep. Carrie Ann is awesome. Her story is crazy. And she's now like the director of the Bridge Center, which is on the North Shore. And it's a great place for people to go. And they're really, really working hard to help people that are sick and suffering. And then they're also helping people that are in recovery that are struggling, because, just because you put down the drink or the drug, it doesn't mean that life gets easy.
No, that's the easiest part of the whole process.
Right. It gets more difficult. So Matt Gammon, who is, I just adore him. He's going to come and do some poetry. I've got Matty O'Malley coming. I'm waiting to hear from a couple of moms and dads to come and speak who have lost their kids. But they want the hope. They want to share the hope. They don't want to just share the sadness.
Speaking of that, one of the other thing that we didn't really address, I think we addressed it on our conference call when we had a couple weeks ago, but um, the young man from Teen Challenge,
John Merrill. Yep.
yeah,
That was, so I don't
tell
want to
that
say he
story.
overdose because I don't think he was an overdose. And I don't think it was a suicide either. Like, I don't want to leave it open to that. I honestly don't know. I just know that he was very sad and he was very tired. And he had some mental health, you know, a lot of kids that, and I say kids, I mean, I think Sean was 42. Um, a lot of kids that have substance use, right? They have the mental health, but it's not, they just get tired. They get tired. I mean, Willie, you hear it, right? It's like, they're tired and they've tried and they don't have it in them anymore. And a lot of kids that I've worked with that have passed on, I'll have that conversation. I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore. And the solution is not treatment. It's not to put the drinker or drug down. It's just they're tired. And I think that's something that people just choose not to understand or accept, because if you're alive and there's breath, then you should be fighting for your life. We're not in their brains, right? We're not in their bodies. We don't know where and what they've come from other than what we know. So
this is why treating the whole person is so important too. It's not just addiction, it's mental health, it's socioeconomic. I mean, there's so many, you go to a detox and it's like, you're getting just addiction treatment and then, okay, well, you're on your own now. And it's like, what do I do then?
It's a pressure, because we talked about pressure. Sean was running Teen Challenge, and he was
started Teen Challenge in Brockton.
Yeah, and he, I met him because we had him on our radio show. He and another guy who we know who came in, and he, and Sean seemed to really had it together at that point. Like, he really had the wife, and he just seemed like he was really on a good path. So the fact that, he slipped, is it's very, very sad. And apparently his mother, they also lost another child earlier in it. So it's a very, very real thing. Going back to Stakes Are High, is there any kind of fundraising component? I know you're working with the Foxboro JCs. How are you partnering with them?
So the JCs are my hub, basically. They provide the manpower, they provide the insurance, they provide the safety net. It's somewhere I can run my project safely. Financially, I'm trying to raise about $500 for this year's event. I haven't been very active raising it, to be perfectly honest. I have a hard time asking people for money, especially right now, with, people struggling. And so eventually I'll raise the flags. I'll probably pay for the flags and then worry about it later. I'm not worried, because every year I have to buy new flags for the current year. So the purple flags represent the current year. So I'll have to buy 20.
What's the color for next year?
So the color for next year is blue. I'm buying blue flags. I'm running out of colors. They're running. I've almost exhausted.
You're going around the rainbow.
I'm going around the rainbow, so I'm gonna have to start over with the colors again. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I just want to do it because I want to raise awareness and I want to support the families that have lost their loved ones. And
do you get the national media involved with this?
I've tried. So if you've got connections,
I would contact like Yvonne Abrams over at the Globe, because she loves social issues and stuff, and she could put it on, she could put it out there and get it, maybe down to New York and Washington, and that type of deal. I'd get the state senators and representatives involved.
Sure,
in it too.
Cindy Friedman.
Cindy Friedman, yeah, she'd be
Our
a good
friend
one.
Cindy. She would be helpful, but it's a beautiful thing you're doing. Where can people learn more about it if they want to help?
Right, so we have a Facebook page. It's called Stakes Are High. The Stakes Are High. The logo, I guess you can't see the logo, but it's just these little flags, and
yeah, it's in the bottom right. There's a blue flag, a purple flag, and a green flag.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And you can just, you can go on there. My number is right there under my name. You can call me. You can message me. I'm not hard to find. And yeah, that's it. It's a very low key. It takes, last year, I think there was only about 8 of us putting the flags out, and it took us about 6 hours to put 10,000 flags out.
Yeah.
So feel free to come down and give me an hour, because
is Foxboro Cable, is Mike and his team on board too?
I don't know, because it's on a Sunday, so that's one of those days where it's a little bit tricky. In the past, Mike has given me some really good coverage.
That's great. Okay, so next week. So thank you, Chris. And next week, you can give the website address.
I don't have a website anymore. You have to pay for a website. So
it's on the Foxboro JC site.
Yep, it's on the Foxboro. It's foxborojcs.org.
Okay. Yeah. Next week we're gonna roll out some new changes for the show next week. Some surprises, which we'll talk about next week. We really want we want to make this interactive as well. So please feel free to reach out to us with questions, etc. Willie, between Willie and Chris, they can really answer a lot of things and questions and provide information. So that is our show for the week. And thank you to the great Michael Weber back at Mission Control at Foxboro Cable Access Television. And any parting shots, you guys?
No, it's just been good to see you both.
Yeah, you guys. Good. Enjoy the sunshine. It's supposed to be a great weekend. Get outdoors.
What are you, a weatherman? What are you, the weather? We got nothing but sunshine for the next 10 days.
Weather person.
Weather person.
It's like in Wakefield now, alder person, not alderman, alder person.
Alder person, and certainly don't say manhole covers, because that's
person hole covers.
Person hole covers. Yes. And okay, so on that note, please check out our website, which is facebook.com/the map 2020, and we will catch you next week on the map.